Okay, basically we're going to machine this part that we drew last week. Okay, should have the layout already done. And if you didn't, you can use the sample drawing from Lab 6.1 simple part. There's a sketch of this same drawing there. Okay. So I opened up CNC base 3000 turning center, not 1000. Okay. I'll move my windows around here. First thing you have to do is open that workspace. So workspace is in Lab 6 test run, so I downloaded that. And now I'm going to open workspace to get all my tools set correctly. So open workspace. And I'm going to go get that from my downloads. Open. Yep. So it shuts it off, turns it back on. Luckily it remembered where all my items were. Close. So now it's got the right size part and everything in there. Okay. Should be a 3/4 by 3. Now we'll have to change the size of the part when we do the hammer because it's a lot bigger, but otherwise it's very similar. Okay, so now we're going to go to the lab that shows this. I already opened it up, but it was the lab 6-2 lathe info and template, and I opened up all the items from that. Okay, so we're doing the lathe template here first. We're going to type all that in. So most of you guys are probably way faster typers than me, so you have to bear with me here. So we'll just type it just like that. Semicolon up. You got to do file new probably. Yep, there we go. And semicolon. Put your name in there. Turn the caps lock on. And semicolon. This is lab 262 6-2. Semicolon the date. Today's 2/24, I think, or something like that. What is it? 25th, 25, 21. And put your part number in there. That should be in the very first mill lab. You should have your part number in there. Put your part number in it. Semicolon, and that's it, I guess. Now we start programming. So the first code is that M6T1, okay? And that's going to put tool 1 in. M6 says put a tool in, T1 says put tool 1 in, okay? And the next code is going to be /G28, and that says go to the home position, okay? Which basically is in the upper right corner, okay? Let's see here. There's the home position in the upper right hand corner, okay? And this is our 0 point, okay? All right, then the next thing after you type that is G28. We're going to type in /G92, which is basically telling it how far our part home is from our machine home, which it's 2.213. You make sure this is very important to get that right, or it will crash into the part, which is very bad. Okay, because then nobody gets to run anything. 6.07. So that number is extremely important. Okay. G92, make sure the slash is in front of it. And then we tell it to turn the spindle on with the M3 and say S2000 says how fast it's going to spin it. Okay, we're going 2000 RPM. Now we're going to go to our first position. Okay, so it's going to be it's varies depending on what we're running, but they'd be let's go ahead and just write this in here, and then we'll save it as our templates, so we don't start on our part just yet. So G0X. And I'd go ahead and put a semi or a question. Well, you can leave it open. Just add to it later. And then it's usually a Z, and we don't really know what that is a lot of times. So I'm just going to leave those both blank on my template. And then the next one will be a G1, and this usually goes to a Z travel. And this is G1, so it's cutting something at this time. The G0 went high speed to the top right corner of the part is where we're going to go usually. Okay, unless we're going with a left-hand tool, then we go the other corner. 6.0 is the speed. So G1 with a Z value, so that's how far it's going to travel at a feed rate of 6 inches per minute. That's how fast it's going to. So again, we're making our template, okay? And we're going to save this in a minute, so we don't have to retype this every time. And then M5, Probably ought to put the information in there too, just so that you learn these, because it makes it a lot easier on the exam if you see it all the time when we're in here. So the M5 is spindle off. There is a line above there that's just blank, and put a few spaces and a semicolon and end of finish cut. So that'll be the last cut, typically be the end of finish cut. Okay. Below the M5, we've got G0. So this is going to a safe spot. X2. Well, some older machines would require you to put 2.0 Rs. Luckily, aren't quite that old, so they don't require the 0 behind them. 4 semicolon go to clearance position. So this is just where you can get your hand in there, and it's not going to hit anything if the spindle turns off and so forth. And then M2 is the end of program. Bring it down so you can see it. That's the last code, of course. And these are all the same that was in the mill. So, okay. I'm going to put all this text in here on mine to begin with too. I think it's a good idea. You should do the same. First rough cut. If you want full points, you have to type it all in. Next one would be rapid to start position. And this one, turn spindle on. The one before that is sets current 0. Position, G28 would be home. Like I said, all these will be on the file. It's nice to see them every day. It kind of helps you remember what the heck they do. And M first one was ensure, or put it to a 1 is basically. Halftime it's already in there, but it just makes sure it's in there. Okay. All right, so this will be our template. So we're not going to have to retype that every time. So let's go ahead and save it as template. File, save as, or just save, I think. First time anyway. And save that as your template. Should have a Sim60 folder, hopefully. And I created Lathe projects. And I'm just going to create a new folder for this year. I'll go over the top of my other stuff. So 2021. And template. Okay. Or just Lathe template if you want to be more precise with it. Okay. Save. All right, now let's save it as this lab. So this is lab 6-2. So now I want to save it again. Save as. Should go the same spot, hopefully. Lathe or lab 6-2. Okay. And now we're working on lab 6-2. Okay, so this is what our part looks like. So this thing's spinning, all right? And it's 3 inches long from the 0 point right here, which actually part of that's sticking in the chuck, even though it doesn't show it like that here. And so it's 3 inches sticking out, and it's 3/4 inch diameter, all right? The first place we're going to go to is, even without the print, I know where it's at because so we're at 3.1 right here. So all the rough cuts, remember, are up here on top. Okay, so we're only going to be looking at these top numbers to start out with. If we dimensioned it correctly, it's kind of the reason we dimension it that way. And then when we do the finish cut, which will be the last couple lines and slowing it down, we'll use these bottom numbers down here that are actually touching the part. Okay, so the rough cuts are all up here. That keeps you from making mistakes a little bit. That's kind of why we draw layouts like that. Okay. Shut some of these AutoCAD windows down. Okay, so your dims are probably red. I made mine yellow so you can see it on the overhead better. All right, so the first one that says rapid to start position. All right, so we need to put a number in there. So the X position, remember, is up and down. So it's a little bit throws me off all the time. I've been doing AutoCAD for 30 years. So it's X is Y on the lathe. All right, so 335, because we're going to come in right down to this position right here, and then we're going to come across here, okay, and cut. All right, then we'll come back 10 thousandths high to the same spot. We don't know this thing might be a little bit long. That's why we're going to safety spot out here. Like I said, it could be cut on a bandsaw. It usually is, and then it's unless you dice it off with a lathe. But It's just good if you can go to a little bit extra, do it. So the X is 0.335, okay, which is 40 thousandths lower than the part was. Remember, it's 375. Okay, when machining, they always talk about thousandths of an inch, because that's usually you're taking off, you're going down to 1/1000th of an inch or a 0.5 of an inch, so that's what they talk about. All right, and Z, that's 3.1, that's our safety spot. And that would normally be what you consider the X. There's 3.1 up here. Okay, but that's the Z in the lathe world. Okay, and now we're going to do our first actual cut on a material, which would be the G1. Okay, and where we're going to go to is we're just going to follow this green part all the way across here until it basically runs into this little part right here. Okay, so we're going to go till we hit there. Now it'll actually leave a little triangle left here, but that's okay, and the finished cut will take that off. Okay, so you don't really worry about that still being there. All right, so you're basically going all the way over to that number I just highlighted, 1.054. Okay, so the Z on that one is 1.054. That'll be our first rough cut. Okay, now we got to come back to the exact place we were, but 10 thousandths high. Okay, so it's the same number as this up here, but 10 thousandths high. So there's a couple things you can do if you're a fast typer, just retype it, or you can highlight and Control C, Control V to drop it. And then you just got to type in 10 thousandths higher on the X. So it'll be 345. Okay. So what happens there is it's basically going to come back here and slowly go up until it gets all the way back to this position and 10 thousandths above it. Because you don't want to drag the tool across the part because it just dulls it. It wouldn't really hurt anything, especially on a rough cut, except it dull your tool and you'd wear out your tool faster. And tools aren't cheap, so you don't want to do that. Okay, so that's why we go 10 thousandths higher. Okay. And now we should be in a safe spot outside of the part, right up here, basically back where we started from. And we're going to drop 40 thousandths again. Okay. So we're going to basically drop to right here, to 295. Okay. All right. So we want to do that in high speed. So we basically go. We had G0 typed before. We don't need to retype that. You can. It doesn't hurt anything with this extra typing. So I try not to do that. So half time I forget. But X 0.295. Okay, so we're going to drop down. Remember, this is X. We're dropping down to 40 thousandths, okay, to get ready to cut some more. All right, and so it's just dropping straight down because we don't want to get in a part. The part might be right here, so we don't want to get into that part. So we have to drop straight down to 295. Now we're going to come all the way over to here. Just imagine that part might be sticking out this far to this point, okay. All right, and that's 2.932. Okay, so that's another line because it's another movement. You got to go down here, and it's cutting into the part. So we got to switch it to G1 because it's going to be cutting material, and that's a Z number, okay, because it's going left to right, 2.932. If somebody hears me mess up a number, make sure you tell me. A lot of numbers, it's easy to do. Now this is kind of like the finish cut where we just kind of trace along the part. Okay, right now we're right here, so we need to trace up to here. Okay, and cut straight over. We're not going to be cutting very much off there, but we got to do it because the part's sticking up there. So we're basically going to go from this number right here up to this one right here. Okay, so that one is not dimensioned. So I need to dimension that. So so what you find out when you're programming it, a lot of times you find out the dimensions you're missing. Surprise. What's that? Yeah, I'm going to put it on there, because I'm sure a lot of people don't have theirs on there either. So we put ordinate on, at least if they watched my video, they forgot to do it. So we're going to put it right there. Yes, 3.23, thank you. And it's a little tight, but you can jockey those around if you want to, like so. I'll do it a little slower on this first one. We'll go a little faster when we get a little more experience under our belt here, okay? So next line was we got to go basically up to we're sitting here, and we've got to go up to this one. So the X is first and be 323, and we're still in G1, so we don't need to retype G1. Space in there? Almost looks like I do. No. Okay, so this would be X 323.323. Okay, And the Y almost switched them, or the Z, I mean, almost switched them around there too. So that we were basically going from here up to this position here. Okay. And it is 2.904 in the Z. 2.904. Hopefully you see that. So we're going from here to here. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go straight across again until we get to this position, 2.123. That's another movement. So we got to drop a line down. Okay. And that's the Z value, 2.123. Okay. I'll try not to mess up my X's and Z's here. Now we're going to drop down to this corner right here. So we moved across here and cut a little bit off there, not much. But now we're going to cut off. And theoretically, if you're doing a million of these, you could speed up on that. You would actually. You might type in like F8 instead of F6. But we're only doing one of them, so we're not going to change it. Okay. So now we're going to drop down to that position. So we got to go another line down because it's another movement. And this will be the X value is the same as it was before, which was 40 thousandths drop. So that's 0.295. Okay, remember we did the 295 early. We started at 335 and then went 295. Okay, so we got to drop back down. So even without that dimension, I know where it's at. It's the same as on the other one. Okay, it's dimensioned over there to the right. And then the Z value would be that 2.046. Okay, 2.046. And usually the errors I see are just forget to put the decimal in a lot of times, or they got in the wrong spot. Okay. That'd be a lot of times when you get an error on there. Okay, so now we're going to go straight across again and cut the rest of this off. So we're sitting here. We're going to cut down basically along that line, okay, all the way to here. We don't have any drop. It's just 1.091 in the Z. So another line down because it's another movement. Z 1.091. 1.091, this number right here, okay? We went straight across there. Now we can't go back to our original spot this time. And this was a lot of times on this first lathe part, I see this happen a lot. So what students will do is they'll go straight back to 10 thousandths above 295, so it'd be 305, all the way back to 31. Well, if you do that, you're going to clip this right here, okay? The tool's going to basically cut that thing off, so we can't do that. We got to go 10 thousandths above 323. And we've got to do it, and we've got to type in this number here as well. So we go 10 thousandths high, so we get there that time, and then we go straight back. All right, so this one's a little tricky because it's a little just different. I'm gonna space on my program here. Okay, so now we're going high speed, so we go G0, okay, and we do X first, which would be 0.3333, right? It's 323 plus 10, so 333, okay? And then the Z value would be 2.123, okay? We're going back to this position, but 10 thousandths above it. Now we can go straight back to like we usually did before, okay? You don't need to type in the 333 because we're just going to go straight back. We'll be a little high, but that's fine. So that'll just be a Z value of 3.1 again, all the way back to the safe spot, okay? Now we're going to drop down again, okay? And we're still in high speed, so this would be an X value of 40 less than 295, which is 255, right? You can start doing those in your head. 255 instead of 295. Don't even need to look at it, but there it is, right? Okay. And this is probably the last one we need to chop off. We're chopping that one off. You don't really need to worry about that little triangle, but you definitely need to cut this one off, okay? So now we're going to G1 again because we're going to cut material, and we're going to go straight into Z value straight over to this thing, which is 2.972. 2.972, okay? So we've done that one. Now what I should have done, and a lot of times you figure this out after you've done it like I'm doing right now, is while I was inside here, I should have cut the rest of these out. Because now I'd have to go all the way back over and do that again, which we don't want to do. Okay, so we got to go back up to the line where we went to the safe spot and change it a little bit. Okay, so where it was to that 333 number, okay, so the 333 to 213. Get it off that number so you can see it. So this number here and the 10 thousandths above that, that's going to have to change because we should have cleaned the rest of this out while we were in there because there's too many movements and too much time to come back over and do it all over again. We just want to finish cleaning that out while we're in there. So the Well, both these numbers need to change, okay? So where it says 333, we should have basically went straight back to here, which is 2.046. So change, and the height was 295. So we got to change that to 305. So 305 there, where it said 333, okay? And now put us 10 thousandths above this, okay? And then we go back to where we started from, which is just the 2.046, which is right here. And you can also see it up here, okay? The 2.046. Okay, so what we did there is we went back to where we were, and we're going to add a couple lines of code in there, which a lot of times you figure that out after you keep going. So we're sitting back at this spot right now, and now we're going to drop down here and cut all that out, okay? So I'm going to hit enter and add some lines. I'm going to hit enter a couple times so I got some space in there. And I'm sitting right here, and now I'm going to go down to this position, and this one is cutting material, so I need to basically make sure I type a G1 there. Okay, so I gave myself a couple lines in G1. All right, and I'm going down to this position here, which is a Z value of, an X value of 0.255 again, because it's 40 thousandths drop. Just know that in my head, it's 40 less. Okay, and I can look at the dimension too over here if I wanted to, but trace it back to here, and that'd be 255. Okay, and the Z value is right in front of me. It's 1.933, right? 1.933. Okay. And now we're going to go straight across. So, and we're still cutting materials. We're still in G1. Don't need to retype it. We'll go straight across to here, which is 1.134. Okay, and that's the Z value, 1.134. Okay. All right. Now we're basically still going to stay inside here. So we're going to do this one the right way this time, and go back to where we started. So I'm going to copy and paste it because I make a lot of mistakes. So I'm going to go back here and just copy this thing. Control C, Control V, change my G1 to a G0. Okay. And then, hopefully I did that a while ago. And then change this from 255 to 265, 10 thousandths high, and it went back to 133 again. Okay. So we're sitting here 10 thousandths above this, and then we're going to dive down and do it again. Okay. So need to get some lines. Move my cursor down here. Let's see it. So we're basically sitting right here. We're going to dive down to this position next. Okay, and we're actually cutting material again, so that's another G1. And the X value is 40 thousandths less again, so it would be 0.215. Okay, 40 thousandths less 255 is 215. Right, and the Z value is right here, 1.82. Okay, so we went from here to here. Okay, 1.82. Okay, and you can put the O on there. It really don't matter. Okay. And now we're going to go straight across again to this one, 1.1 to right there. And then we're going to get out of there, okay? 1.174. So that's a Z of 1.174, okay? That's cutting material too. Now we get to type in this safe spot we were going to a while ago, all right? So now we go with G0 and X of 0.333. I remember from last time it's 323 plus 10. And my Z value was 2.123. 2.123. Okay, so that puts us 10 thousandths above here. And then we went to that. Now we're in the right spot. Then we went back to 3.1. Okay, and dropped down to 2.5. Okay, so now we went back to this 3.1, which we already typed. Okay, so we're sitting back here at, and we went down to 2.55, and then we were going to go across here when I realized that we made a little boo-boo, right? So that was a G1 going to this spot. So that's all good. Now we're going to go back, and we're just going to go straight out because it's so, you're not even moving any. So it's not like it's going to wear the tool down in that little bit of metal. You could go back up 10, I guess, to be consistent. We better do that. G0, and it'd be X of 0.265 and a Z of 3.1. Okay, going back to our safe position. And at this point, we need to drop down to our finish cut. Now, there is a little bit of chunk probably left on there. Remember this little piece, but like I said, don't worry about that. There's actually a lot of these little triangles left. When you machine apart, you'll see them. And then they'll just cut off when you finish cut it. Okay, so now we're basically going to drop down to our finish cut. We're going to use all these dimensions on the bottom. Okay, so we're going to go down to this corner right here on the part. All right, and then we're going to basically trace around the part, kind of like we did that rough cut a while ago. All right, so we got to go down first of all. Okay, so and that'll be, we're still in the safe zone, so we're still G0. So this is an X of 0.213. Okay, number right there, right? And now we're going to basically go along the part. Okay, so I can just use the bottom numbers. I don't have to. I'm just basically going to go from here to straight over to here, to straight down to here, straight over to here, straight up. And then after that, the program's over. Go to safe position and done. If I didn't make any errors, we can test it, and this program will be finished. Okay, so we did this whole one together. I was going to make you do a little bit on your own, but I'll make you do a little bit of the hammer on your own. This first one, it's nice to see how it works. Okay. All right, so let's do the finish cut. I'll do the first coat of the finish cut with you, and then I want you guys to do the rest of it yourself, okay? So what we're going to do, so pay attention, because this is going to have to do on your own, and I'm not going to have it in the video, okay? Basically, we're sitting down right here, right now at this position, 213, 3.1, not in the part. We're going to go straight over here with a G1, slowed down to an F4, and we're going to go up here to this position, the Z and the X and the Z, and straight over here. So we're on the light blue the whole time, right? The cyan, and then down here. So we're cutting along the part and cleaning it up, okay? So I'll pause the video while I write all those codes, and then I'll show you how it should look like, and yours should look the same. So make sure it does before you turn it in, or email me if you have any problems. But the first one going in there, we're at 213. So let's do the first couple lines together. We do a G1, we're cutting material again, and we're doing X value, X staying the same. We're going straight over to the part. So it's a Z value till we hit the part, which is 3.0. It's down there on the bottom. Okay, 3.0. And the last finish cut you'll put on this line right here, okay, before I forget to tell you. So it's a Z value of 3.0. Okay, and you could probably put 3 and it'd be fine as well. Okay, now we're going to go up to this corner right here, okay? There's the Z value. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yes, we definitely need to. Thanks for the heads up. F4. Got to slow that thing down. Otherwise, it won't look clean. It won't look shiny. It'll look rough. And your boss will yell at you for making ugly looking parts. Okay, so we don't need G1 now for the whole rest of the time, because we're going to be finishing cut. I mean, the last cut will be down here, and that's the end of the program. Then you're testing. So the next one is the X value of, on the part again, so 313. Okay, the bottom numbers we're going by on this whole part, if you drew it right. X 3.13 and a Z of 2.9. Okay. All right, and then you hit enter. So every movement needs another number, right? And you're going to basically type the number to get you over to here, the 2125. Okay, and then you're going to type a number to get you to the drop down of the X value of 0.2 1.802. That's the next line. And then you're going to have another line getting you straight over to the 1.175. The Z, and then you're going to have another line that's going to get you to the 1.0 with a 375 because you're on the outside of the part. Okay, and then after that, your program's done. Okay, so I'm going to write it and not record it. So you have to write it a little bit on your own. Okay, should be able to do that. All right. Okay, I'm going to leave this up here so you can check against your numbers, though, but please try to write them on your own because you'll have to during the test, and if you just copy all mine, you'll fail the test because half the final grade is writing a program. So you need to be practicing it. That's the only way you get good. But I put the rest codes in here, so if you have an error, you can check your numbers. Of course, I might have an error because I haven't tested it yet. So first thing I want to do to test it is we turn on optional skip when I should renumbered it first. So I'm going to go over here and edit, renumber, and that just do it, and that puts all my end numbers in so I can troubleshoot it better. Okay, and I still got optional skip there, and I'm going to hit my verify here. Pray it works. Okay, so put to a 1 and yay. And it looks good. That was fast. Okay, now you want to slow it down because so minus. You want to be able to see what you're doing. So, but it all looked like, I'm really surprised I didn't have some typo in there because I'm a terrible typer. So now you can see it. It cuts all the way across, comes back 10 high, does that little loop-de-loop, cleans out the inside. You can see all the little triangles I was talking about. Then it finishes it up, and that is your part. So nothing too fancy there. It's a normal program stop, which is what you want. All right, so everybody test yours out before you send it in. Okay. And if you are doing this online, besides machining, you do have to do a little video of it running and send that to me so I know you did a virtual machine. Okay, if you're doing it from home, you have to do that. I think I'll pause this, but I don't think we have. It's probably the end of the lab today. All right. So if you have an error in there, say for instance I have left off a decimal place, if you left off a decimal place, you could be in trouble because it'll sit there all day trying to get there. So maybe I put a space after the Z or something like that, all right? So if I go verify machine, let's see if it errors out. Verify program, run it. Speed it up here. Okay, see it says missing numbers. Okay, now I should have had that other screen. It somehow went off on me. Okay, well you want to make sure that's open, okay? So you want to have the machine info open, okay, because that tells you where it's at, all right? And then if you verify it again, make sure your optional skip is always picked before you hit the verify button, all right? And it says, oh, it's missing numbers, okay? You know, sometimes it's got a problem from, you made a problem in the line before, causes a problem in the bottom, like if it says a bad arc or something like that from a G2 or G3. But usually it's right on the right line. So it says N33 here. So I know it's on N33, okay? And it's blue. I mean, it's really helping you out here, okay? And there I can see there's an extra space in there, right? So that's basically without say, okay, and go in there and fix it. The other thing you can do to troubleshoot that helps out a lot, of course, is hit single step and just step through it one line at a time. Say it doesn't show up an error, but it wipes it out and you just see it's messed up, but it still works. You can just go through one line at a time and see where it erred out or see where it's making a mistake, okay? Make sure you turn it in on 6-2.